Snowman was finished, and the boy stepped back and looked at him. He seemed to be smiling. By this time it was getting dark, and the little boy had to go indoors, leaving the snowman standing all alone out in the middle of the garden. Sat round a nice warm fire. bed. Up the stairs he went 2 at a time into the bathroom to clean his teeth. Then hop, step and a jump along the landing to his bedroom. Soon he was in bed and fast asleep. In the middle of the night he woke, tiptoed to the garden, and peered down at the snowman shivering. He went back to bed, but then the clock woke him up. This time he got up and tiptoed down the stairs, feeling rather cold. He looked out at the snowman through the glass panels of the front door. Suddenly, while the boy was looking at him, the snowman moved. Then he actually started to walk towards the boy. He stopped and raised his hat. And he walked forward again, right up to the boy. And they shook hands. "Come in," said the boy. "I'd love to," said the snowman. Together they tiptoed into the living room. The snowman thought it was wonderful. He looked at the cat sleeping peacefully by the fire and wanted to stroke it. But when the cat saw the snowman, he was terrified. He leapt into the air, the snowman jumped backward and lurched into the Christmas tree, setting all the little bells ringing and the candles shaking and the fairies wobbling. At last it settled down and the boy plugged it in. The tree lit up with every colour you could think of. Blues and greens, reds and yellows, gold lights and silver lights. Then the snowman walked from the Christmas tree and sat himself down in a comfortable armchair. The boy turned on the television. There was nothing but fuzzy lines, zigzags, and it made the snowman dizzy. Then with a start, the boy realised that the snowman was sitting too near to the fire. He realised he might melt if he got too hot. He rolled him out of the chair and hurried him out of the room to the kitchen, which was cold and dark. The boy reached for the light switch. The snowman was curious. He wanted to switch it on himself. The snowman plodded over to the kitchen sink and the boy climbed up and turned on the cold tap. Then the hot one as well. A big cloud of steam rose up. Steam! It was too hot for the snowman and he backed away. He saw a cake with a tiny little snowman on it. He picked it up and smiled at it. Then he took fruit from a fruit bowl and tried on an orange for a nose. Then a lemon and a banana and a cherry. And then a huge pineapple. But his own tangerine fitted best, so he put it back on. The snowman loved it. For him, it was just like sunbathing. Let's go they went and paused outside his parents' room, someone was snoring. "Be quiet," said the boy. "Shh." "Look, false teeth." The snowman wanted to try them on. He put them on and walked to a mirror to see how they looked. It gave him a terrible fright. Next he tried on some makeup and looked in the mirror again. He looked into the wardrobe and saw all the clothes hanging there. And some hats. He tried one on. Then he tried on some trousers. But the braces caught over his nose. "Do be careful," said the boy. "You mustn't wake them." A perfume spray stood on the dressing table. The snowman squirted it. He liked that. He did it again. Suddenly, the perfume made him want to sneeze, and he held his nose. He must have sneezed in the bedroom. The boy hurried him out, and then he sneezed. In the boys' playroom was a music box. They wound it up and they danced to it. Onto the floor with balloons and teddy bears all around them. "I've got another idea now," said the boy. "Come with me and look out of the window." Outside, they could see a strange, dark object. Nodding to each other, they tiptoed silently down the stairs, out through the front door and into the open air. The dark object seemed much bigger now than close to him, and whatever it was covered up with a big black tarpaulin. Summoning up all his strength, the boy went and pulled it off. Bright, new, shiny Harley Davidson. The boy pointed out the controls to the snowman, turned the ignition key, turned on the headlights, and suddenly the snowman was on the bike racing around the garden. For a second he stopped. The little boy jumped on behind him and his legs and started to melt from the heat again. He was dripping all over the place, as if he'd just come out of a hot bath. At that moment, the boy had another bright idea. Grabbing the snowman's hand, he pulled him into the garage. Humming away in the corner was the deep freeze. In a second, the snowman had jumped into the freezer, and in another second, the dripping had stopped. They landed silently in the frozen north. They were in the middle of a great forest of pine trees laden with snow. But somewhere ahead they could hear music and see lights. There in a clearing in the forest, a Christmas party was taking place. There were snowmen, more snowmen than you could ever imagine in your life. And there, right in the middle of them, radiating good cheer and smiling from ear to ear, was Father Christmas himself. You're just in time for the dance of the snowman. When the party was all over, Father Christmas led the boy and the snowman to the stable. Light spilled through the door, and inside they could see the reindeer with beautiful sleigh. Father Christmas gave the boy a lovely blue scarf as a present. When he put it on, it was time to go. The snowman gripped the boy's hand as they started to go. Faster and faster, bounding, jumping, until they were flying. At last they landed in the garden again, and together walked slowly into the house. The little boy shook hands with the snowman and went to the front door. But the snowman waved, and the boy ran back and gave him a great big hug. Then the boy went indoors and very soon was fast asleep. Next morning, when he woke up, the room was ablaze with sunlight. He put on his dressing gown, ran downstairs and opened the front door. The sun felt warm on his face. The boy ran ran out into the garden and saw a heap of melted snow. An old hat, a tangerine, a scarf, and a few lumps of coal. But the snowman was nowhere to be seen.